I, 23 male, was born in the U.S., but I was adopted as a baby by my parents, who are from Thailand, and I've lived there my whole life. I'm very lucky because my life is great here. I have a great English tutoring job, a great family, my parents and my little sister, and also a fantastic wife, 23, and newborn twin daughters. Recently through Facebook, my bio parents reached out to me. I don't know how they found me, but they did. They said they would really like to meet me, and for me to meet their kids in the U.S. I've honestly feared this day my whole life because I didn't know how to respond. So I talked to my wife and family to see what I should do. Finally, I decided that if they wanted to meet me, they would have to come to Thailand instead of me going there, because they were the ones who gave me up. So if they really wanted to have a relationship with me, that would help prove that they actually wanted to. I won't lie, it would be expensive to get here. Their flights are about $1,500 each, so $3,000 if my bio parents just came, or $7,500 if my bio siblings also come. So they said they couldn't afford it, and it would be cheaper for me to come to them, which is true, but I want them to make an effort. Then I get a message from what I guess is my bio aunt, cursing at me about how I should just fly to the U.S. to meet my real family so I could be where I belong. I asked her what she meant by that, and she went on about it's where my real family is and how America would be a better place to be than Thailand because it's a third world country, which made me pretty mad. So I told her that if she thought the U.S. was a better place, why didn't she adopt me instead? And some other things. Then my bio parents got angry and started messaging me about that, so I just stopped talking to them for now. However, my aunt wasn't wrong about Thailand technically being a third world country, but I've been to the U.S. once, a year and a half ago with my little sister and wife. I think Thailand is a better country for me, even though I'm not originally from here. It's the place I want to be, especially now that I have kids, because it's a lot cheaper here. For example, I make 1,250,000 baht, which is only $36,000 a year, which isn't a lot in the U.S. But here, our house, 4-bedroom, 4-bath with a nice pool, only costs 5.6 million baht, 162,000 US dollars. The biggest thing is healthcare, since we have kids, and healthcare here is either free or extremely cheap compared to the U.S. So I have no reason to live where I belong. I think I'm in the right for wanting my bio parents and family to come here instead of me going there, even though it costs more for them, but I don't know. I will revisit the U.S. sometime when our twins are older, because it was a nice place when I went there, but no plans to move there. So am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Why would you want to invest your limited income in visiting a family who abandoned you and then called you 20 plus years later, only to scold you? Family is more than blood. If they want to meet you, that's on them. Unfortunately, their behavior makes them seem insufferable. I'd be reluctant to meet them at all. Hold your ground and make them come to you. Yeah, have they even offered to pay for you to come to them? Even if they did, I can't imagine a long flight with 2 newborns. I wouldn't go at this point. You haven't been their son for over 20 years, and what they said about your country is outright rude. Stay home with your wife and kids. Your bio aunt is a jerk. You are with your real family. Your bio family are strangers who know nothing about you or your life. They don't get to dump you when they didn't want you and then snap their fingers for you to come running now that they do. And are you even sure that they're the right people? Also, before you meet bio parents, I strongly recommend counseling to discuss precisely these issues, such as what do you hope or fear from the meeting? How will it change your life? What if they turn out to be unpleasant? And so on. Shame on them that they barged in like that without giving you a chance to go through the process. If you don't want anything to do with them, don't talk to them. You owe them nothing. My partner and I, we're both women, have lived together for about a year. Neither of us wants to get married. There are just bad family experiences there on both sides. We've always split expenses based on income. I make about twice what she makes before taxes, so we split everything 60-40. I get taxed a lot higher. A couple of months ago, her uncle, who didn't have any kids, passed away, and she unexpectedly got a few $100,000 in cash and stocks. She had no idea this was coming and had only met him a few times. We split rent and all household items by income and have been talking about upgrading our furniture, mainly buying a king-sized bed and a new sectional. Before all this, I would have expected to keep the current split of me paying the majority. It's what we did for other common purchases, but since she just got this huge cash infusion, I suggested we consider that and at the very least make it 50-50. My partner got really mad about this and said I was an idiot trying to capitalize on her family's death and saying inheritance shouldn't ever be a factor. I wasn't asking for a percentage of her inheritance. I just thought it should be part of how we split things that benefit both of us. Was I being an idiot here? For clarity, she makes about $65K a year in base salary with some sporadic bonuses. My salary is a set $120K. She inherited about $270K in cash and about $140K in stock. The expenses we have coming up that I was referring to will be around $2 to $3.5K, depending on how nice of a bed or sectional we get. You are the idiot. It's assets, not income. That's like calling a pile of cash in a savings account income. Also, if you make twice what she makes, but only split cost 60-40 because of tax rates, I suspect you already showed some greed. You've been earning $120K, and she's been earning $65K, yet you weren't paying twice what she was. You've been able to save more, and now she can catch up. Exactly. I wonder if they factored savings accounts contents and all assets before agreeing to split cost 60-40. Doubtful. The split was dependent on income, not assets. She's changing the rules to benefit herself. OP, even in a divorce after a long marriage, you wouldn't be entitled to your partner's inheritance. Stop counting other people's money. I disagree. OP is not the idiot. So if she inherited $10 million, OP would still be the idiot for asking for a 50-50 split? Most bank accounts do a 3% return on savings accounts every year. I don't see why OP should pay more than 50%. I don't know why some people act like you're a monster. Why shouldn't she split the cost of the new furniture 50-50? Both of you are going to use it in your shared home. The only difference is that she has the cash that she just inherited, and you will have to earn the money to pay your share. You aren't asking for half the inheritance. It is completely reasonable if you've been paying a higher portion of the bills due to your income that she should at least cover half the cost now that she has this extra money. Honestly, I would expect her to buy the furniture. When my partner and I bought our house, I had extra money. And guess what? I just bought most of the furnishings because why would I make him struggle to pay for half when I have the cash? People are so weird when it comes to money. My 28 male girlfriend, let's call her Emma, 26, likes to wear high heels and has ever since I've known her. She's self-conscious about her height, but it's not really a big deal when we're together as I'm short. She's 5'2" and I'm 5'6". The issue, however, is when we go out together, she normally drives as it's her car and she drives in her heels. I repeatedly tell her she should switch to flats and not drive in them as it's dangerous, but she refuses and says she knows how to drive in them and is used to it and claims in some cases it's easier as you can pivot between pedals easier. I think she's not being honest, as I can't possibly see how it would be easier. Last week she got into a small accident and rear-ended someone. I wasn't there, but a car changed lanes in front of her and she rear-ended it. I bought her some sneakers and told her to use them as driving shoes and left them in a car. And she called me an idiot and said her accident had nothing to do with her shoes and that I should drop it. Am I the idiot here? I just want her to be safe. You don't sound like you understand Emma as a person, separate from her relationship with you. I infer this because you think that her issues with her height shouldn't be a problem because you're not very tall. Why would her perception of her height have anything to do with you? Then you assert the danger of driving in heels. It doesn't sound like you have any personal experience wearing or driving in heels, but because of your superior mind, you can see that her choices are bad, even though they relate to things you don't understand, like what's easy or hard in heels. Further, you assume that a car accident that she was in was caused by her and by her driving in heels. Further, you insist on it being your job to fix what you see as wrong with her. You are the idiot for treating her like a person with no agency and like you know her experience better than her. I disagree. OP's not the idiot. Woman here. Heels are objectively dangerous to drive in for many reasons, according to literally every single expert on the topic. One I saw cited by an automobile association was that if your heel is elevated, it is much harder to judge how much pressure to apply to the pedals. This might explain why she rear-ended someone. Maybe she didn't brake hard enough because she had no concept of how much pressure she was applying. It also damages the heels. Just FYI, it's not good for the shoes either. The fact that the majority of people here are arguing against an actual proven fact that is supported by the entire industry, like this is on the same level of saying seatbelts aren't necessary. That's how well established this fact is. But I know better than the experts and the crash test and all of the evidence. That's the reason I'm terrified of being on the road. You all don't know what you're doing, which is why so many people get hurt. I would refuse to ever get in a car with someone who insisted on driving in heels, just like I would refuse to get in a car with someone who regularly went 50 kilometers over the speed limit or drove while drinking because it's proven not to be safe. My dad divorced my mom when my brother was 4. I was 3 and my sister was 1. He divorced my stepmother when my half-brother was 3 and my half-sister was 2. My dad is currently married to his 3rd wife and they have 1 son who's 6. My grandmother really likes my dad's current wife, but she has a weird sense of humor. Most people in our family do. Sunday, my grandmother said to my dad's wife that she liked her so much that when they got divorced, she would keep her and get rid of my dad. My dad's wife looked a little thrown by the comment and said that she and my dad aren't getting divorced. I joked, "Of course not, you don't have a daughter." She stared at me and asked what I meant. I explained that my dad only divorces women when they have a daughter. That isn't the reason my parents divorced. It was just a joke about a coincidence. But she said it was a horrible thing to say about my sisters. My grandmother then joked that it was the opposite because it implied my dad wanted the daughters and only stayed with a woman long enough to get one. So as long as she doesn't have another kid or only has sons, he'll stick around waiting for a girl. We both started laughing, and my dad's wife stared at us silently and then got up and left the room. At this point, I wondered if I had crossed the line. My grandmother said I was fine, that she was just a sensitive person, and a little ribbing was good for her. Still, I do feel bad and wonder if I should apologize. Am I an idiot? Not the idiot, but LOL at the jokes. She married a man with 0 issues leaving women with infants and starting again with someone else. It's going to be a joke at some point by the kiddos. After this little stunt, I hope you'll be okay with your dad looking for a 4th wife. Right? She married a man who had 5 kids and divorced their moms while the kids were toddlers twice. If you can't see the writing on that wall, maybe don't marry Nick Cannon for goodness sake. She's the mother of this man's 3rd set of children, so she's well aware of what his previous families look like. She can't be mad at people for pointing out his pattern. You and your grandma are hilarious and probably got that woman on the path she needs when it happens to her. Honey, I think you made her paranoid now. Your jokes clearly showed that your dad has a track record of getting his wives pregnant and then leaving them. And maybe she's pregnant but hasn't announced it, and now she's shocked. This could account for her reaction, worried that she might have a girl. Maybe at least try to mend things with her. I'm 21 female, and I have a roommate, Tasha, 20 female. Tasha has a lot of mental health issues and has trouble leaving our apartment for appointments, so she makes online therapy appointments. Unfortunately, we live in a 1-room studio, So because of the doctor-patient confidentiality, I have to leave the apartment whenever she's having her appointments. The main problem is Tasha won't tell me about these appointments until 10 or so minutes before they start. I'll just be doing something random, and then she'll turn to me and go, "Oh, by the way, I have therapy in 10 minutes." I'll have to get all of my stuff and go somewhere in that short notice. She has ADHD and can really be forgetful, so I understand it on some level, but it's pretty inconvenient. The appointments aren't on a consistent or set schedule, so I can't even predict when they're going to happen and plan either. This has happened 5+ times. The last time this happened, about 2 weeks ago, I sat Tasha down and explained that she needs to give me at least 24 hours notice before her appointments so I can plan. I said it's very inconvenient to pack up all my stuff and get out within 10 minutes, especially when I'm in the middle of an assignment or something. I warned her that if it happens again, I wouldn't be leaving, and she'd have to find somewhere else to have her appointment. She apologized and said that she'd set alarms so she'd remember, and I thought that was the end of it. But lo and behold, it happened again this morning. Tasha told me she had therapy in 10 minutes, and she forgot to set the alarms. Per our talk 2 weeks ago, I told her that I wouldn't be leaving the room. She started arguing with me and said it was just this once. It wouldn't kill me to go to a cafe or something for a couple of hours. I was working on an assignment and couldn't concentrate anywhere but the apartment, so I still refused to leave. Eventually, she just took her laptop and stumped out of the apartment to try and find a place. But 20 minutes later, she came back and blew up at me, saying she couldn't find a private place to have her appointment, so she had to cancel it. And because she canceled on such short notice, she wouldn't get her money back. She yelled at me, saying I wasn't being understanding of her ADHD, and it wasn't her fault she was forgetful, and I was being petty and ableist over nothing. I reminded her that I warned her that this would happen, but she wasn't having it, and now has refused to speak to me for hours. So I just thought I'd come here and get more opinions on if I was the idiot. Not the idiot. You also pay rent, so you have equal rights. And 10 minutes warning means she doesn't respect your time or your schedule. I'm assuming her therapist gave her tips and recommendations on coping with her ADHD so she can still have a productive life. Even after your warning, she's still not making adjustments. So she's making her problem into your problem. This is not about you being ableist. It's you setting boundaries and expectations, and her showing that she's incapable or unwilling to respect them. She can sit in the bathtub, no water, with her laptop on her lap, and close the bathroom door if she wants privacy at the last minute. Otherwise, plan ahead. Therapy appointments are scheduled in advance, so she has plenty of time to tell you about this one. She had 2 weeks to give you notice, and she didn't, and now she has to pay for an appointment. These are the consequences of her actions. Her ADHD isn't her fault, but it is her responsibility. That isn't being ableist, it's being realistic. Also, I wonder what kind of therapy she has, where OP would need to be out of the room for a couple of hours every week or so. Girl, your roommate sucks. You pay rent and are 100% allowed to use your living space without being evicted randomly with little notice. Consider whether you should continue living together. If you have other options, consider them.